The red carpet silence cameras flashed like lightning across a midnight sky. Sydney Sweeney, draped in a shimmering silver gown that clung to her like starlight, stepped onto the velvet walkway at a Hollywood premiere. Every movement was poetry her. Waves of golden hair bouncing gently under the harsh glare of paparazzi bulbs. Her soft smile both warm and distant. The crowd gasped, not just because of her beauty, but because of the weight of the moment. Everyone wanted to know one thing. Would she finally speak about the controversial American Eagle ad? The fashion campaign, released only weeks earlier, had spiraled into heated debates online. Some fans defended her, others accused the brand of crossing lines of taste and style. Her face had been on every magazine cover, her name trending every night. But so far, Sydney had remained silent. Now, with microphones stretched toward her like sharp spears, the press roared questions. Sydney, what do you have to say about the jeans ad? Do you regret the campaign? Is this hurting your career? Her pearl earrings caught the light as she turned her head slowly. Her eyes calm, but unflinching, she leaned toward the microphone, her voice steady, dripping with both elegance and ice. I'm not here to talk about jeans, she said softly. A wave of shock rippled through the crowd. The red carpet fell silent for a single heartbeat. Then the chaos returned, louder than before. Reporters shouted, cameras clicked wildly, and whispers spread like wildfire across the velvet ropes. Inside the theater, as she glided past the glowing chandeliers and velvet curtains, her words echoed across social media. I'm not there to talk about jeans. The phrase exploded on Twitter, plastered across Instagram stories, and dissected endlessly on TikTok. Was it defiance? Was it guilt? Was it a warning? Backstage, producers and stylists exchanged nervous looks. One whispered, she just turned this into a bigger storm. Another muttered, or maybe she just made herself untouchable. Meanwhile, in the balcony above, a rival actress leaned toward her assistant and smirked. She thinks she can dodge the question forever? Let's see how long that lasts. The night shimmered with champagne, couture gowns, and dazzling performances, but all anyone could talk about was Sydney's refusal. Every headline the next morning would echo the same haunting line. She won't talk about jeans. But why? What was Sydney Sweeney hiding, and who, behind the scenes, was pulling the strings of this scandal? The spotlight wasn't just on her dress anymore, it was on her silence. The tabloids stormed morning after Sydney Sweeney's red carpet moment. The world woke up to chaos. Across breakfast tables, subway rides, and glowing phone screens, one phrase kept circling like a broken record. I'm not there to talk about jeans. It was splashed across the front page of gossip tabloids in bold, glittering letters. Paparazzi photos of Sydney in her silver gown, lips parted mid-sentence, were pasted on covers alongside headlines screaming, Sydney shuts down press. What is she hiding about American Eagle? Sweeney sparks Hollywood divide. The gossip machine was in full swing. In New York, outside a glossy newsstand in Soho, a group of fans argued. A young woman in oversized sunglasses said firmly, she has every right. She's an actress, not a spokesperson for denim drama. But another, clutching the tabloid, shook his head. Come on, if she's so proud of the campaign, why dodge it? Her silence makes it worse. Online, the storm raged harder. Twitter was a battlefield. Hashtags exploding like fireworks. Hashtag Sydney says no to jeans. Hashtag American Eagle scandal. Hashtag what is she hiding? Some defended her as a strong woman protecting her craft. Others accused her of arrogance, claiming she was embarrassed by the ad's backlash. And then came the whispers. In Los Angeles, an insider close to the campaign spoke to a tabloid journalist. Under the promise of anonymity, their words dripped with danger. Let's just say, the ad wasn't meant to look like that. Something changed. Sydney wasn't happy. But contracts were contracts. The journalist's eyes widened. If true, this meant Sydney's refusal wasn't arrogance. It was resistance. Resistance against a brand giant. Resistance against unseen forces. Meanwhile, behind tinted glass doors in American Eagle's Manhattan headquarters, executives sat around a long mahogany table. Their designer suits couldn't hide their unease. A publicist slammed her iPad onto the table, the headline glowing in neon red. I'm not there to talk about jeans. This is a disaster, she muttered. She turned a fashion promo into a Hollywood scandal. Another executive leaned back, rubbing his temples. Or maybe this keeps us in headlines. Controversy sells. Jeans or not, everyone is talking about us. But not everyone agreed. One board member whispered what no one wanted to say aloud. What if Sydney walks away? What if she sues? Across town, Sydney herself sat quietly in her Beverly Hills mansion, a crystal glass of water in her hand, staring out at the pool shimmering in the California sun. Her phone buzzed nonstop. Agents, managers, directors, friends, all asking the same thing. Why won't you talk about the ad? She closed her eyes, remembering the photo shoot, the blinding lights, the strange last-minute changes, the poses she hadn't agreed to, and the way her stomach twisted when she first saw the final cut. She hadn't wanted this. She hadn't signed up for controversy, but saying so publicly, that was dangerous. To dangerous. Later that night, she arrived at an exclusive after-party in the Hollywood Hills. Champagne flowed like waterfalls, chandeliers glittered, and the air smelled of expensive perfume and scandal. Sydney's entrance drew every eye. Paparazzi cameras peeked over hedges, capturing her every move. Inside, whispers followed her like perfume. She looked furious on the carpet. She's protecting someone, or maybe she's hiding something about herself. By the corner bar, a rival actress smirked as she clinked her glass. She thinks silence makes her strong. Just wait. Hollywood eats silence alive. Sydney ignored it all, her face a porcelain mask. But when she stepped out to the balcony, the city lights stretching endlessly below, a shadow appeared beside her, a young journalist, bold enough to sneak past the velvet ropes. Whispered urgently, Sydney, I know what happened on set, and if you don't speak, someone else will. Her heart froze. She turned slowly, her eyes sharp as daggers. Then maybe, she whispered, you don't know the whole story. The journalist's breath caught, and somewhere, deep in the Hollywood night, a secret waited to surface, one that could change everything. The secret on set gossip storm had only grown louder. Sydney Sweeney's refusal to speak had made her more mysterious than ever. But while the tabloids speculated and fans argued, one journalist refused to stop digging. Her name was Marissa Hale, sharp-eyed, fearless, and always hungry for a scandal. That night at the Hollywood Hills after-party, her words had sent a tremor to Sydney's usually calm facade. I know what happened on set. Now, Marissa sat in her cluttered downtown apartment, walls plastered with magazine covers and red string-connecting photographs like a detective board. On her desk, scattered coffee cups and glowing laptop screens reflected her obsession. She had spoken to makeup artists, assistants, and even a janitor from the set of the American Eagle shoot, and the picture forming was darker than she expected. According to whispers, the shoot had been chaotic from the start. Sydney had signed on expecting something light, youthful, and carefree, a playful campaign about confidence and comfort. But something shifted when new creative directors arrived. Poses got edgier, clothes got tighter. The vibe, it wasn't fun anymore. One crew member had told Marissa, voice trembling over the phone. She looked uncomfortable. We all saw it. But the most shocking claim came from a photographer's assistant. There was one shot, one they insisted on keeping. Sydney hated it, said it wasn't her. But they told her it was already in the contract. She was cornered. Marissa's fingers hovered over her keyboard. If this was true, Sydney wasn't dodging the press out of arrogance. She was dodging it because the truth could ruin both her and the brand. Meanwhile, in Beverly Hills, Sydney tried to live her life as if the storm didn't exist. She attended glamorous dinners, charity galas, and even a Vogue photo shoot where she smiled beneath sparkling diamonds. But the questions never stopped. Every red carpet, every interview, every whispered conversation circled back to the jeans at a charity gala at the Four Seasons. She wore a gown of deep emerald velvet, her skin glowing under chandeliers. Cameras clicked furiously, fans screamed her name. But when a reporter dared to ask about the American Eagle campaign, Sydney's smile cracked for just 1 second, a flicker of irritation, almost fear. That moment was captured, magnified, and replayed across millions of screens. The narrative twisted. Is Sydney hiding her shame? Is she protecting her career? Or is there a bigger secret behind her silence? The speculation grew wild. Some tabloids claimed the ad had political undertones. Others whispered about feuds between Sydney and the brand's executives, and one late-night host joked, at this point, I don't care about the jeans. I just want to know what's in them. But for Sydney, none of it was funny. Alone in her mansion, she sat by her marble kitchen counter, scrolling through article after article. Each headline felt like a dagger. Her phone buzzed again. Her agent. We need damage control. The Agent insisted. Go on a talk show, laugh it off, spin it. The longer you stay silent, the worse this gets. But Sydney shook her head. No, if I speak now, I'll have to lie. And if the truth comes out later, it'll destroy me. Her words hung in the air like a curse. That night, under a sky full of Los Angeles stars, Marissa Hale parked her car outside Sydney's mansion. She watched the glowing windows, her notebook, heavy with secrets. She wasn't just chasing a story anymore. She was chasing the truth, and the truth had a heartbeat. Meanwhile, inside, Sydney stood on her balcony in silk pajamas, the cool breeze brushing her hair. She looked out over the city, glittering, endless, dangerous, as she whispered to herself, "They'll never understand what happened on that set." Her voice was almost drowned by the distant hum of paparazzi drones circling like vultures. But the storm was closing in, and the secret, the one hidden behind denim seams and blinding studio lights, wouldn't stay buried forever. The leaked sun had barely risen over Los Angeles when the internet caught fire. A grainy, half-blurred image began circulating on Twitter, TikTok, and celebrity blogs. It was allegedly from the American Eagle shoot. The photo showed Sydney standing in the denim set. But this was not the playful, youthful vibe the campaign was supposed to celebrate. The lighting was darker, the pose far more suggestive, and her expression, sharp eyes, lips parted, looked nothing like the confident smile fans expected. It wasn't glamour. It wasn't fashion. It was something else entirely. The caption beneath the leak read, "This is the shot Sydney didn't want you to see." Within hours, hashtags exploded again. Hashtag Sydney leak. Hashtag A exposed. Hashtag Justice for Sydney. Fan pages defended her, claiming she looked forced into it. Critics claimed she had approved it, but was now playing innocent dot inside her Beverly Hills mansion. Sydney's phone rang nonstop. Her publicist's voice was sharp and panicked. Where did this come from? Who had access? Sydney, this could bury you or it could bury them. Sydney sat at her glass dining table, staring at the leaked photo on her iPad, her stomach twisted. She remembered the moment clearly. That was the pose she had argued against, the one she had begged them not to use, and yet, here it was, plastered across millions of screens. Her silence had protected her until now. But the leak changed everything. The media frenzy be noon. Every news outlet had picked it up. On morning talk shows, hosts debated the image. One declared, "She's being exploited. Look at her body language. This is not consent." Another countered, "She's an actress. She knew what she signed up for. This is a PR game." The gossip columns went wild. Tabloids plastered the photo across their front pages, cropping it tighter, exaggerating it, spinning their own wild narratives. Meanwhile, fans gathered outside American Eagle stores, holding homemade signs. "Respect Sydney," and "Brands don't own women." The brand itself was silent. Their official Twitter flooded with angry comments. Executives scrambled behind closed doors, trying to track the leak. One insider whispered to the press, "We believe it came from someone on set, maybe even one of her people." The betrayal angle only fueled the fire. Who had leaked it? A stylist? A manager? Or maybe Sydney herself in a dangerous play for sympathy? The confrontation that evening. Sydney arrived at an award show in downtown Los Angeles. Cameras snapped furiously as she stepped out of her sleek black limousine. She wore a dramatic white gown with a long silk train, a deliberate contrast to the scandalous denim image plastered across the internet. The crowd screamed. Paparazzi shouted questions. Microphones thrust toward her face. "Sydney, do you deny this is you in the photo? Were you forced into this pose? Are you going to sue American Eagle?" Sydney lifted her chin, her diamond necklace sparkling. Beneath the lights, her voice was calm, but her words were sharp. "I've said before, I'm not here to talk about jeans." The crowd gasped. The same phrase again, a refusal that was no longer icy elegance, but almost defiance. Inside the glittering ballroom, stars whispered behind champagne glasses. One rival actress hissed, "She's digging her own grave." Another murmured, "Or maybe she's about to burn them all down." And in the far corner, Marissa Hale, the relentless journalist, scribbled notes furiously. She had the leaked photo printed in her bag, along with testimonies from crew members. The puzzle pieces were almost complete. She knew the storm wasn't about denim at all. It was about power, contracts, and control. The tipping point later that night. As the award show glittered on, Sydney slipped outside for air. The city lights stretched below. Paparazzi still buzzing at the gates. But on her phone screen, Something new appeared, an anonymous message. I know what they did. Meet me tomorrow. Sunset Tower, 7 p.m. Come alone. Her heart raced. She showed the text to no one. Whoever it was, they knew the truth. And if they were willing to talk, everything might finally unravel. Back inside, Sydney's smile returned as she posed with trophies and co-stars. But behind her shimmering eyes, the secret text pulsed like fire. The leak was only the beginning. Now, someone in Hollywood was ready to talk. The secret meeting Sunset Tower Hotel in West Hollywood was glowing that night. Its Art Deco walls shimmered under soft golden lights, and the rooftop terrace buzzed with the quiet hum of old money, rising stars, and hidden scandals. Celebrities lounged by the pool with cocktails and crystal glasses. Paparazzi camped outside, and rumors floated through the halls like perfume. Sydney Sweeney stepped out of a sleek black SUV, wearing a trench coat over a midnight blue slip dress. Oversized sunglasses hid her eyes, though the night sky was already dark. She walked quickly through the marble lobby, heels clicking like a clock counting down. She was early. The anonymous message had been clear. Sunset Tower, 7 p.m. Come alone. Her heart thudded as she entered the dim-lit bar, its mahogany wood glowing like honey. A jazz band played softly in the corner, and waiters in crisp white jackets carried silver trays of champagne. Sydney slid into a secluded booth near the back, her eyes scanning the crowd. At exactly 7:05, a shadow approached. A man in his early 40s, tall, with tired eyes and a suit that had seen better days. He sat across from her, his voice low, almost trembling. I worked on the campaign, he said. Sydney leaned forward, her pulse racing. The truth unfolds. Man introduced himself only as Daniel. He had been a junior producer on the American Eagle shoot, a name buried deep in the credits. They made changes at the last second. Daniel explained, his hands fidgeting around his glass of whiskey. The original campaign was supposed to be fun, empowering, youthful. But then, corporate stepped in. They wanted something edgier. They said it had to trend. They pushed shots that weren't in the plan. You resisted, I remember. You said no, but they told you it was contractual. Sydney's jaw tightened. And the photo? Daniel sighed. That was the one you hated most. You were right. It never should have left the editing room. But they kept it. And then, when backlash started, they pinned it on you. Her chest tightened. So the leak was at them. A setup? Daniel shook his head. No, that's the thing. The leak wasn't corporate. It came from inside your own circle. Sydney froze. Her mind raced. Her stylist, her assistant, someone she trusted. Betrayal cut deeper than paparazzi flashbulbs ever could. Daniel slid a small USB drive across the table. These are emails, proof that you resisted, proof that they pushed. If you release this, the world will know you weren't the problem. They were. Sydney picked it up, her hand trembling. For weeks, she had been painted as defiant, arrogant, even guilty. Now she held her freedom in the palm of her hand. But Daniel's eyes darkened. Be careful. If you expose them, they'll come for you. American Eagle isn't just a brand. It's a machine, and it protects itself. The tension recesses. Sydney left the Sunset Tower. Paparazzi snapped at her like wolves. Cameras flashed. Voices shouted. Sydney, who was that man? Are you planning to sue? Did you leak the photo yourself? Her silence fueled the frenzy. She climbed into her SUV, gripping the USB like a weapon. Back at her mansion, she plugged it into her laptop. The emails glowed on the screen, threads of executives dismissing her objections, mocking her naivety, and pushing for riskier images despite her refusals. One line made her blood run cold. If she won't play along, we'll spin it. Silence makes her guilty. Her hand shook as she closed the laptop. She wasn't just caught in a PR storm. She had been set up from the start. A rival steps in. Meanwhile, in another corner of Hollywood, a rival actor scrolled through the leaked image on her phone. She smirked, sipping champagne at a rooftop party. Poor Sydney. She purred to her entourage. She thought silence would save her. Now she's just a headline. But her assistant whispered back, careful. Rumor is, she's got proof. And if she releases it, she could take the whole brand down. The actress paused, her smile fading. If Sydney survived this scandal, she wouldn't just be untouchable. She'd be unstoppable. The cliffhanger that night, Sydney stood on her balcony, the USB drive heavy in her hand. Below her, Beverly Hills glimmered like diamonds scattered across black velvet. The city buzzed with her name, her face, her scandal. She had the choices: stay silent, protect her career, and let the brand bury the truth, or release the emails, risk everything, and ignite a war with one of fashion's biggest empires. Her phone buzzed again. Another anonymous text. If you release the files, you're not just exposing them, you're exposing Hollywood. Decide. Carefully, Sydney's breath caught. This wasn't just about jeans anymore. It was about power, reputation, and survival. She stared at the city lights, her reflection shimmering in the glass dot tomorrow. The world could either see her as a victim or as the spark that set Hollywood on fire. The final showdown city of Los Angeles. Didn't sleep that night. Every blog, every gossip site, every celebrity account buzzed with one name. Sydney Sweeney died by morning. Reporters camped outside her mansion, their cameras pointed at her iron gates like soldiers waiting for a war to begin. The leaked photo had cracked the story open, but now whispers of proof swirled. Proof that Sydney had been forced. Proof that she was a victim, not the villain. Inside her home, Sydney sat at her marble dining table, staring at the USB drive Daniel had given her. Her reflection glimmered on its silver surface. Her phone buzzed again with calls from her agent, her lawyer, even fellow actors urging her to stay quiet. Hollywood doesn't reward rebels, her agent warned. Protect your career, Sydney. Don't bite the hand that feeds you, her liar begged. But Sydney's jaw was set. For weeks, she had endured being painted as arrogant, as guilty, as the face of a scandal she never wanted. She wasn't going to let them bury her truth. The press conference of that afternoon. She arrived at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel, the same grand ballroom where countless stars had announced engagements, divorces, and comebacks. Paparazzi flashes nearly blinded her as she stepped out of a black Escalade, draped in a sleek tailored white pantsuit, powerful, unshakable, almost presidential. The room inside was chaos. Journalists packed every corner, cameras ready, microphones lined like weapons. On social media, millions tuned into live streams titled "Sydney Speaks at Last." She stepped onto the stage, her blonde hair perfectly in place, her eyes steady, under the glare of the spotlight. For a moment, silence blanketed the ballroom. Then she spoke. "I've been quiet because I believed silence would protect me," she said softly, her voice echoing. "But my silence has only been used against me. So today, I want to share the truth." Gasps filled the air as she held up the USB drive. "This contains emails and proof that the controversial photo was not something I agreed to. I resisted. I said no, and I was told my contract meant I had no choice." The crowd erupted, camera flashes turning the room into a storm of white light. Sydney continued, her voice stronger now. "I was cornered, and when the backlash came, they let me take the blame. They let me drown while they protected their image. I will not let that happen again." She placed the drive down on the podium. "I'm not here to talk about jeans. I'm here to talk about respect, about integrity, about power. And I won't be silent anymore." Hollywood in flames within minutes. The internet exploded. The leaked emails hit every major outlet. Screenshots of executives mocking Sydney's protests, dismissing her concerns, and planning to spin her silence. As guilt went viral, hashtags shifted from mocking her to defending her. Hashtag we stand with Sydney. Hashtag expostulation. Hashtag truth over jeans. American Eagle's stock price dipped. Angry fans flooded their social media. Activists demanded boycotts. And in Hollywood, producers, directors, and actors whispered nervously, if Sydney could defy the machine and survive, what would stop others from doing the same? At a rooftop bar that evening, the rival actress who had mocked Sydney slammed, her phone shut, her face pale. She flipped the script. She muttered, "She's not the scandal anymore. She's the hero." Meanwhile, Marissa Hale, the relentless journalist, smiled as she filed her story. Sydney Sweeney didn't break. She fought back. The fallout, of course. The storm wasn't over. The brand's lawyers moved fast, threatening lawsuits, denying wrongdoing, and accusing Sydney of misrepresentation. But the public was no longer listening. Fans rallied behind her, celebrities tweeted their support, and even talk show hosts, who once joked about jeans, now called her a voice of courage. Sydney's mansion turned into a fortress of flowers, letters, and gifts from fans. Paparazzi helicopters circled above, desperate for a glimpse of the woman who had gone from scandal to symbol. Through it all, Sydney remained calm, Her image transformed, not just a Hollywood starlet, but a figure of defiance in an industry built on silence. The cliffhanger of fame weeks later. At a film premiere in Paris, Sweeney walked the red carpet in a golden gown that shimmered like molten sunlight. The crowd roared her name. The Eiffel Tower glittered in the distance, and cameras captured every second. A reporter dared to ask again, "Sweeney, do you regret what you did?" She smiled this time, a smile full of fire, not ice. No, because for once, I wasn't just an actress. I was myself. The flashbulbs exploded, freezing her in time like a goddess of defiance. As she disappeared into the glowing theater, whispers filled the air. Had Sweeney just reshaped the rules of Hollywood? Or had she made powerful enemies who would come for her next? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain. Sydney Sweeney's story was no longer about genes. It was about power, truth, and a star who refused to stay silent.